Even though we had some negative comments, optimistic is my feeling after last night's game. I think that this is the best team that they've had in the post Kevin Garnett era. I think that this is a legitimate NBA title contending team, even though they stubbed their foot. Knicks are still a good team. Knicks are well coached. Knicks have some good players. I think, they were up by 12. They ended up winning by 4 last night. This team can win the championship.
Well, because they're in. I guess they can. They're in the mix. They're in the mix. And people say to me, "You want predictions?" I hate predictions because for various reasons. But I certainly will go and say there's at least a half a dozen contenders, and they're one of them.
The Ryan Goodman and Tanguay podcast is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hey, everybody. We got some real basketball to talk about.
Yay!
Yay! Bob Ryan, Jeff Goodman, Tanguay along for the ride, Zoom and podcast. Sponsored by FanDuel, the official partner of the CLNS Media Network. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. Okay, guys, we're going to be talking about the season opener for the Celtics. We are recording this the morning after. So let's just get some opening thoughts on what we saw from this club. Bob, I'll let you go first. Obviously, it was a win over the New York Knicks on the road.
I'll start by accentuating the positive. I'll channel my inner Johnny Mercer. The biggest positive was I'll take 81 more of those from Porzingis.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, good. I have to. He was. I'll take that. I'll take no more. They had to be any better. No more. I'll take 81 of those. Right as everything, both sides, both ends of the floor. Number 2, they are so freaking lucky the Knicks shot free throws the way they did, or else they lose. To me, that was the difference in the game. That was the most important of all the things we can say were the difference in the game. That's number 1 in my mind. They're lucky they won. I don't feel real good about what I saw. I in general, they won. Hooray! Nice. They escaped. Survival. Blah blah blah. I don't want 81 more of those total team performances, but I'll take 81 more Porzingis.
I mean, here's what I'll say is Porzingis looked phenomenal coming out of the gates. Jrue Holiday looks like he's going to need some time to figure out his role. And obviously, the difference here is they got Jrue, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
They had all summer to prepare to be able to figure out how Porzingis fits into this offense. Jrue just got thrown into it. So I think it's going to take some time for him to look comfortable. Porzingis was awesome. Again, I think what we see here, the biggest takeaway for me on Porzingis isn't that he can shoot the ball from 3. We know that.
You knew that.
It's defensively. Defensively. How he can move, he's much better than we remember him being when he was a relevant player, right? He's matured as a player into a much more well-rounded player. I know it's one game, but you could see it.
And last year we saw there was an improvement with Washington. As Bob stated, not a lot of us were checking out the Wizards. No. But last year he played well for the Wizards.
Well, this is what I was told he was on defense. I said, that sounds good. But we wanted to see it. We saw it. He has much more lateral mobility than you think. And after all, and start with the fact he is 7'3", and he's smart. I think that was encouraging, and that was a big bonus. Yes, as Jeff said, his trading, his stock and trade is shooting threes, fine. But he played a nice game of big man basketball last night, as well as shooting the threes. So that was very encouraging.
Well, I mean, look, last year that's a game they lose.
Yeah, well, and they're lucky. They would have lost anyway if the Knicks shot free throws. That's what bothers.
Well, that too, but the Knicks also, Bob, were lights out from 3 too, which isn't usually the case. But they have to play better perimeter defense for the Celtics.
Now here's a number I'm going to give you. 12.
12.
How many bench points they had? 12.
Yeah, that's going to be an issue.
The fewest. That's by the way, was it the fewest in the league? The answer is yes.
Really?
The next fewest was Toronto with 16. The next fewest after that was Minnesota with 21. Now we had an abnormal peak. The Nets had 65 because Cam Thomas had 36 himself in 25 minutes. But now Hauser, and I'm a believer in Pritchard. I'm a fan of his. He was 0 for 3 on threes, and Hauser was 0 for 4. And I do think they're going to be better. But that was we got to have better. You can't live with 96 from the starters and 12 from the bench. I'm sorry.
Jeff, do you feel it is now consistent throughout the NBA that every team has a 4 or 5 minute span where they look like they forgot how to play? Because that's my frustrating thing with the Celtics. And that's what happened last night.
You just said it, though. You just said it. Even the really good teams. And sometimes it's, you take one superstar off the floor. Obviously, they're a different team without Tatum. We know that. My biggest concern still, man, you look at Jaylen Brown at the end of that game, and you're just like, does this dude even know how to play basketball at times? Like he just plays like he's never, ever played baskbasketball. I mean, that pass, two of them, 2 bonehead passes, one in inbounds, and the one previously where he literally – he threw it right to somebody. I mean, it's like a free safety, like stepping in and making the easiest pick ever. And then on the closeout, like I just, again, I've said it. I've tried to be nice in saying it. I don't believe this guy's a top 25 player in the NBA. I really don't. I don't. And I don't know if I can come up with 25 today. I think I could. Once like Brad Beal's healthy, I still would take Brad Beal over him. You guys know that.
Yeah.
Because Brad Beal, listen, again, as much as it is about the fact that Jaylen Brown can't dribble with his left hand, which we know, he can't pass. He doesn't make people better. He doesn't. And I'm tired of people saying, like, well, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, or somebody said it last year, the same player or do the same thing. No, they don't. Jason Tatum makes people better consistently. Jaylen Brown does not do that on any sort of a consistent basis. In fact, last night you just look at it and you're like, man, like his basketball IQ sometimes just bewilders me.
$300 million plus whatever the number is.
I don't even want to get into that. I mean, again, it was just stupid. I get they had to max him out, right? You had to max him out, but why'd you have to give him the full max?
Well,
and for what?
I wondered about that.
Because you felt bad? Because Brad Stevens didn't want to offend him? That's what it was. Ultimately, it was about not offending Jaylen Brown instead of, again, I know it wasn't his money. Well, we don't want to offend him, so we're going to give him the full max to a guy that, again, didn't really warrant getting the full max.
I agree. And to me, what Jaylen Brown should be is if Tatum's not scoring, then he is. But that's not the case. And the fact is, they took him off the floor last night because late in the game, they couldn't afford a turnover. You're paying a guy over $300 million in a
He's
double
your third
max.
best offensive player. He's your third best offensive player. I will say that now. Porzingis is better offensively.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to think of somebody ahead of him and make him the fourth.
Well, no, Jrue isn't there, obviously.
Yeah, he's not there. Yeah. Oh, no, Porzingis is a better offensive player than him. I mean, that's
better offensive player.
Of course. I mean, we knew that coming in. Bob, the money paid to Jaylen Brown was all on potential. It hasn't been what he's accomplished.
I'm kind of, I'm not saying I'm in the middle here, but I'm kind of
torn. You're torn on it, though, aren't you?
I am torn on it, yes. But I'm more like, I don't know. He did average 20.
You trust him, Bob. Here's my take with Jaylen Brown. Do you trust him in a big spot and you say, hey, let's put the ball in his hand. Jason Tatum is hurt or whatever. Let's put the ball in his hand to go make a play with the game on the line in the NBA Finals. Are you feeling good about giving Jaylen Brown the ball to go make a play, whether it's for himself or for somebody else in his team?
Well, if he sees a lane to get to the basket, maybe. But
I'm right-handed lane. A right-handed lane.
A right-handed lane to the basket.
Get to the hoop.
He's very good.
Yes.
No, I got, but how he did? They don't hand you 25 points a game. He got them somehow. So that's why I'm hesitant to completely trash.
No, this was a bad game. This is a bad game by him. And again, it's one game. So I do want to make that clear. He's going to have some really good games.
This is the thing. Okay. And maybe I'm just a grumpy member of the media. When you get paid that kind of money, you're going to get people on your butt.
And you don't get double teamed. You don't get double. You're the wealthiest player in the NBA next year, and you're never going to see a double team because of Jason Tatum.
Right. Right.
You better be pretty damn good if you're not facing double teams and you are the richest player in the NBA next year. Like, I don't know. Again, maybe I'm too hard on him. I just feel like he has not progressed enough. And his shooting, again, his three-point shooting was pretty good early because nobody thought he was a three-point shooter. Now he's kind of come down to earth. And I think what he is a 35, 36%, somewhere around 35 probably.
Well, I mean, he's got a little bit of the Antoine Walker disease. He makes the first two and everybody thinks, he's got better. He is a three-point shooter. Then he can miss the next 8.
Right. So, I'm just going to be a bit of a contrarian here and dig in. He averaged 27 points a game last year. They didn't come from the scorer graciously cheating him for him. So, but it's correct. But your question, Jeff, your proposal is correct. I would not want to trust him.
That's all I'm saying.
I grant you that. I grant you that. But it's not like he's not an asset, but he's not the asset.
He shot 34% from 3 last year. That was the lowest of his career.
I mean, what did he average against Miami last year in the playoffs? That to me.
That's the thing. If you know how to play him right, if you have the personnel and you know how to play him correctly, it's going to be very difficult for him to beat. And again, the great thing for him is now he's got Porzingis. Yeah. So to be honest, over the course of time here, he's going to get even more uncontested shots.
Or he could
be
get
pretty good.
Or he may have to make the most of his opportunity because Porzingis may get the ball more than him.
Yeah,
and he's going to need. Once again, I'm going to say it tonight, and we'll be saying it all year. He's going to need a thick skin because this is only game 1. And every night he has a night like that, the number on his back was not going to be 7. It's going to be 300,000, 300 million.
300 million.
Oh, yeah.
No, not 300,000, Bob. That was
300 million.
30 years ago.
He has to live with that.
Anything else? Any other nuggets you saw from the season opener, gentlemen?
No, I think we all were very happy about Porzingis. So Tatum was Tatum for the most part. But White. Yeah, I hadn't seen the new look White, by the way, and not having paid much attention to the exhibitions. I don't know where his hair all went, but I haven't seen the new look. But I still like him as a ball player very much.
Well, they're not going to miss Marcus Smart.
Yeah, and no, but he's not. He's who he is, and Holiday, as Jeff said, we're going to need a while for him to. You wouldn't have. There was nothing special there last night. The other thing I kept thinking about this morning was, okay, we know you can look at the box score and see what the points say. It's hard on television. You're not watching guys guard guys. I don't know what his defensive value specifically was last night, and we know that's a big part of the deal. That's a major part of the deal with him. Is he brings that to the table, and he may have brought that to the table in a way I wasn't paying attention to last night. So I just want to say that.
Even though we had some negative comments, optimistic is my feeling after last night's game. I think that this is the best team that they've had in the post Kevin Garnett era. I think that this is a legitimate NBA title contending team, even though they stubbed their foot. Knicks are still a good team. Knicks are well coached. Knicks have some good players. I think, they were up by 12. They ended up winning by 4 last night. This team can win the championship.
Well, because they're in. I guess they can. They're in the mix. They're in the mix. And people say to me, "You want predictions?" I hate predictions because for various reasons. But I certainly will go and say there's at least a half a dozen contenders, and they're one of them.
They're one of them. There's no doubt.
The West has got 3 or 4, the minimum. And then we've got Milwaukee and Boston here, and Miami will be a tough out as always. There's no doubt in my mind. But they're in that mix, and that's all. I'm happy with that. I'm very pleased with that.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Guaranteed. That's guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. It absolutely is. The app is easy to use, and you can be on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston. Kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
All right, guys, let's move along. Something from last night's game, though. What did you think about the officiating? And we always know there's a market correction when it comes to the flops.
Yeah.
And they were obviously sending a message last night.
Yeah, they were opening night. Apparently, that must have been a point of emphasis for the referees. Obviously, don't you think, Jeff? There must have been an emphasis. Of course, they've amended the flop and the flop. I still don't think it's that hard. I still don't think the referees they know who the actors are. They should. I just don't think it's as hard as it's been made out to be for referees to know what to do. I just don't, and that's just me.
Well, I think the NBA, you just said it, Bob, is they want to maintain their jobs, they want to get good grades, the officials, and they're doing as they're told. I generally don't have a problem with the officials when it comes to things like this because they're just doing their job and as they're told, Jeff. That's all.
They're trying to keep their jobs. They're evaluating
absolutely
every game. So if they don't call it the way they're told to call it.
Oh, yeah, no, they have to answer to a supervisor. There's no doubt. One of my biggest things always about officials has not been things. It's temperament. I want guys that know how to avoid trouble, to walk away from trouble. Guys that don't overreact. Guys that know, hey, if I'm going to make a controversial call, one way or the other, you've been around. If you're a referee, certain calls are going to be materialized, and you see them come in and you say, and inherently, whatever I make, someone's going to be very unhappy. And then don't overreact and don't tease somebody up when you know the call is inherently controversial. That is stupid refereeing in it, and that's always been what's pissed me off more about certain referees than anything else.
Okay, Jeff. What do you think about? Do you think it'll come back to the middle as it always does?
Yeah, I mean it will. It's just about time. I thought the other thing from last night's game that I was impressed with was the Knicks. Honestly. They're not that talented. They're not. I mean, they're just, they got Brunson, we love, RJ Barrett, good, solid player. Julius Randle's a good player. So I think the one thing they do is they're bought in now. They play hard. And I think Brunson has kind of changed that a little bit. And some of those Villanova guys have changed that.
What about Quickly? It's an interesting he's like
I'm shocked.
Yeah. He's a mini Maxey.
Correct. That's exactly. He's a poor man's Maxey.
Right.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but he's a poor man's Tyrese Maxey.
That's a long career in this league. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he can be like a Lou Williams type.
Oh, well. Who, by the way, belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Yes. He's again. But the Knicks are fun to watch now. They're fun to watch. They're a star away from being an actual contender.
Yeah. And then even today in the Post, they had one of those endless stories about what it would take to get Embiid. I mean, it never goes away in New York. I love it.
No, but it makes sense. I mean, Embiid's going to want to be traded at some point this year, I would think. So why not? If you're New York, you are positioning yourself in every way imaginable to be able to get Joel Embiid.
And there's a good segue for us, gentlemen.
Well, I was just going to say, speaking of Embiid, James Harden showed up at the team flight. And they said, no go, kid. No, you're not making the trip. And then he left. So, Jeff, your thoughts on what's going on with Mr. Harden? He has showed up. He's out of shape. He has a monitor on him. And they said, no, you're not coming with us. And it seems what are you hearing? I mean, Maury, but I mean, this guy. Is he not getting the offers? Do people not want James Harden? Or is he just truly being unreasonable when it comes to negotiating?
Well, I think they don't want him, and they certainly don't want him at $35 million, right? A lot of people don't want him, period. But they'd take him if it was, a mid-level type contract. They've rolled the dice on him, but at $35 million, you just can't. You can't. And again, too many people have seen him quit over and over and over. And I'm glad, to me, if I was, and again, we've been through this. I have such a hard time because I'm not in the Daryl Morey camp at all. But here, I think I'm siding with Daryl Morey. Get the hell out of here. But the problem is, again, if you do that, how do you get his trade value to a point where you might be able to deal him? It's like, what do you do here? To me, the biggest, if I'm Joel Embiid and James Harden tries to come to practice, I'm going to punch him right in the face. Seriously. How pissed off does Joel have to be at this guy right now? Because he is the worst teammate you could possibly be.
I'm so tired of this guy. But I mean, but there's such a financial ramification here that towers over everything. If you're the Sixers, he's still drawing paychecks, as far as we know, right? So. Yeah. And now it's not the play. I mean, this is preposterous. And, but who would want a guy, this would be the third team that he walked away from, right? That he walked. So come on. I mean,
quits on. Doesn't just walk away from, he quits.
I totally got suckered in. I thought he was going to be the guy for the Nets. I did.
So, hey, did you guys hear Dan Patrick had Doc Rivers on, I think yesterday, and he asked him about, Harden and everything like that. And what Doc said, which I thought was interesting, he said, James was great first half of last year. He was a point guard. He bought into being a point guard. He was leading the league in assists. He was great. And then he said it all changed, he felt like, when Harden did not get voted by the coaches to the All-Star game. Everything flipped. Mm-hmm. Really interesting.
No, very, very.
Well, I believe it. I mean, we all know, we've heard players talk about it. And I'm not saying that this is how he feels, but I felt the impression that Jason Tatum gave me for a while, that the All-Star game was more important than winning a championship. I mean, that's how these guys at least. And I'm not saying that's the case. I'm not saying that's the case.
As a kid, it's a big thing to get your first one.
Thing.
But if James Harden, how many have you been to? Who gives a shit? You just want to party wherever the All-Star game is. That's all. That's all it is. You'd think he'd want to go to Vegas and not go to the All-Star game and party in Vegas instead.
Well, that's the frustrating thing, is he can dish the ball. He can run the offense. And if he's in shape, he can be a real asset. That's what's so frustrating, because when James Harden was playing well with the Nets, or when he buys in with the Sixers, I enjoy watching that James Harden. I like watching him.
I must admit, I never do.
I know. Well, you don't buy the assists. Bob doesn't buy the assists.
On him that I'm not rational anymore. I'll be admit to that. I probably have to recuse myself in many discussions because I just want him to go away. I don't want to watch him play. I never liked him when he was good. He may have dribbled more per second than anyone in the history of the league sometimes to get nothing done, but oftentimes to get something done. But I never liked this game, ever. And plus, I hate the beard. I've hated the beard from day one. The beard.
I just love Bob.
Not all beards, his beard.
The assists aren't real. The assists are coming out of thin air. He's paying off the scorekeeper. He's paying the
scorers off, I think. I
all right, let's get on to a positive story. Wembanyama, what a great debut. 23 minutes, 6 of 9 at 15 points for the Spurs. What do you think, Bob? You've been following this guy. You have high hopes.
Oh, I have high hopes, and I'm just curious. I know he had a little foul trouble, but 23 minutes, I wasn't. I don't know that isn't going to be the norm. I would think.
Oh God, no.
But we saw glimpses. The skill set is extraordinary at 7'4". Really, truly, we haven't seen anything. Truly, haven't seen anything like this at that size. We got a 7'3" guy could do nice things, but he's not doing the stuff. He's not playing the game the way Wembanyama does. Actually, they could play together. Wouldn't that be something? But I still will stick with my current characterization. He's a bigger Giannis. He's got Giannis is a very similar skill set.
Hey, but Bob, he shot 3 for 5 from 3 last night. So
yeah,
he's a more skilled Giannis.
Oh, okay, even more. Yeah, and 5 inches taller. And Giannis is 6'11". I mean, this is a new phenomenon. I'm going to enjoy watching it. I mean, the Spurs are appointment TV for me. For they're not even a middle of the road team, or are they? I don't know we don't know what they're going to be. I don't know.
But the best thing that could happen to the Spurs is if they finish in the lottery. That's the best thing this year, honestly, because maybe people will want to go there as free agents to play with Wemby. I don't think they're there yet. And San Antonio is not a destination, we know. So even with Wembanyama, are you ever going to get another superstar? I mean, you could. It's going to be awfully difficult. So you got to build through the draft. I think you got to stink again this year. I think you need to stink for one more year and then make a big jump.
Meanwhile, I'd say the over-under on WOW plays that we're going to get from him in each of the 82 games is 2. That's pretty good. I mean, oh my God, what did I just see plays because of who he is at 7'4"? I think that's going to be over-under is going to be 2.
Well, I mean, do you think he can play well, Jeff, and they can still remain in the lottery?
Yeah, of course. They don't have enough around him. I mean, you look at what they're Devin Vassell, good player. Keldon Johnson, solid player. Zach Collins, he's always hurt. and Jeremy Sohan. They're all young for
Yeah.
the most part, other than Zach Collins isn't that young, but he's been hurt his whole career. And they don't have enough. So no matter what, I think they're a lottery team. There's a big difference between, although this year there may not be, guys. You don't want to tank because this year's draft class stinks, the top. So really, the difference between drafting 1, 2, or 3 and 9, 10, or 11 is not going to be that big this year. I think you can get, again, you're not getting a superstar probably out of this year's draft, but what they need is another really good, like, number 2 guy. Could they somehow get that with Wemby, or get, a good starter that's an upgrade over what they have? Absolutely.
All right, guys, to wrap it up, Bob, did you have a comment?
Well, I was just thinking a couple of random things. There's a guy that had a big night last night that was a kind of a forgotten entity, and I bet Jeff would have something to say about it, and that's Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, yes.
Huh?
No, you know how much I loved him.
Yeah, and you saw what he did last night.
Yeah, high school, college, was hurt all last year. He's so good. He's just such a good player. I hope they can put enough around him, Bob. That's my biggest worry with him. Kind of like Wemby. Are they going to be able to put enough around him that in their current franchises, they can taste the postseason more than just like sneaking in and then being, a play-in team or getting knocked out?
And one more thing, we mentioned All-Star game. The All-Star game, they're once again going on their tinkering. They're going back to the future in a sense, going back to conference versus conference. No more of this picking a team stuff. They want to make the All-Star game into something more of a game, which of course, I'm old enough to remember when I saw plenty of really entertainingly good basketball games played by the best players in the world who played for pride only. How about that? They just wanted to win the damn game. It was just like being on the playground, except it was the best players possible. And what happened to that mentality? I don't know. And that this embarrassing, nonsensical joke of a farce of I'm feeling like I'm telling my Woody Allen here, but I
you're right.
Wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't watch it. But now Adam Silver's got some religion in this thing. See how the players react to it. But
you got to try something, right? You had to try something because it had become a complete.
But I blame them. There shouldn't be. Why? Where is the pride? Well, isn't enough to say I got 12 great players, 11 great players with me, and there's 12 over there. We just want to go out and kick some ass and play. What's wrong with that?
I'm glad, Bob. I'm glad you brought it up. I also think it behooves the league to do it because now the conferences are more balanced. I think they're more balanced, and it's definitely better basketball. But we talked about Jason Tatum, and Jeff was right as a kid. Meaning playing in the All-Star game was a big deal. I'll rephrase that: making the All-Star team. Just being named is a big deal.
I didn't realize that rookies. I didn't realize that the paucity of rookies just making the teams. That's been commented upon lately in the last 20 years. I didn't realize that. It's just an honor for a rookie to just get in the damn game, and that's 24 guys. I'm surprised, but that's the way it's been. So that's a goal for him.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how the game's played. It's just they want to be there for the weekend and pose for the pictures. But you're right. I mean, I think I'm trying to remember. Like the last, was it Magic Johnson? Was it in the early 90s? Bob, you have a great memory.
Oh man, well, after Magic was diagnosed with the HIV,
right?
He played in that All-Star game as subsequent in July and January. I went to that game. It was in Orlando, and he played. Did he get MVP? He played very well. I know that.
What was that like? Do you remember the feel of that game, Bob?
Oh,
what
yeah.
It was like?
It was cool. I mean, Magic's back. He's playing, and oh my God! And because that's when we thought HIV meant a death sentence.
Yeah.
We all figured that Magic would be dead in 5 years. That was the world of HIV meant.
100%. Yeah.
We all assumed he'd be dead in 5 years because that's what happened to people. And now he's 31, 2 years later. He's been on this cocktail, and he's quite, and thank God that they found out that the medical science did its wonders. But no, so it was kind of spooky. We watching Magic's. We better enjoy him while he's on this earth, kind of thing. Oh God, it was weird. Yeah.
But I mean, I think that was the last era where we saw All-Star games that were fun to watch.
Well, there were, that was, I've covered a couple overtime ones. That I remember when the Tom Chambers game, we call it, was a great game in Seattle, and And Bird's first game, by the way, that was a very good game in Washington in 1980. And Larry Bird made the first 3-pointer in All-Star game history. Larry made from the left corner. I remember it. But more than that, I think who the coach was, who it would have been, 79 East anyway. No, it was Billy Cunningham. It could have been, yeah, Philly. Larry made an inbounds pass to Moses for a bullet delivery for an alley-oop from out of bounds that Cunningham raved about. So that's all I can tell you. And another All-Star game Larry played
with his absolutely random things that go through his head, Gary.
Yeah. But when I've been thinking about All-Star games lately, and because of this today, I spent the rest of the afternoon thinking about All-Star games.
I'm excited to see you tomorrow night, Bob.
Yeah, thank you. That's good. Always good to be here. As I start my 60th year of going to the Celtics.
This is 60?
Well, 1964, October 17 was my first one.
I'm tweeting.
It's season.
I'm getting a picture of you tomorrow night before the game, and I'm tweeting that out. Your 60th season covering the NBA.
As everybody knows, we're recording this on Thursday. There are statues of legends throughout Boston. There has to be a statue of Bob Bryant somewhere. Who knows? Maybe it'll be at his breakfast joint in Hingham. But, with stories like that, Bob, you never cease to amaze us. Wow. Unbelievable. And the thing that I think about is his Larry assist with Moses. Was it a year later he said Moses eats bleep?
Yes, 1 year later.
And on that note, that'll do it, gentlemen. And Bob says keep an eye on Indiana. We'll get into that next week. Bob Ryan, Jeff Goodman, Tanguay Along for the Ride podcast and Zoom brought to you by FanDuel, the official partner of the CLNS Media Network. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Gentlemen, until next week.
New FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube at YouTube TV.